This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. Deconstructing Consciousness, the Riddle of the Sphinx. ISIS beheadings equals Robin Williams and Joan Rivers deaths. Evil bloodlines linked to the Vatican, which equals the last seduction to elude you. And the infamous Hermes, creator god of knowledge. This system of consciousness and your third dimensional reality is designed to obscure reality from you. This is your eternal state of nothingness. You see, the power, control, force, those that presume to run this world, use narratives and stories and scripts along with all their fake texts and fake occult knowledge, which is designed to what? Forever keep you immersed in this system of consciousness. Break the word consciousness up. Look up its individuated components and you will see the real meaning of con-shus and ness, which is the quality and state of tricking and deceiving someone through knowledge. It is there in the word. You cannot deny it. Occult knowledge is hidden by design. It was what we called controlled opposition back in the day. You never will know who and what you are through knowledge. Knowledge is designed to make you forget who you truly are. Knowledge is designed to forever keep you from real truth, which is to know who you are and where you come from, which can only be found once you experience the truth of who you are, and that cannot and never will be found through knowledge. You may be saying to yourself, well, Karis, if you don't seek knowledge, then what do I do? Well, you keep gathering more knowledge in order to feed your addiction to know more until you become so saturated, overwhelmed by your incessant need to know more, to the point where you realize that all knowledge is simply lies, designed to what? Deceive you and keep you blind to the truth from the real gnosis, which can only be known within you. And then maybe then you will realize the only thing left to do is to turn inward and do that work. Therefore, until then, I will continue to tantalize you with some high-level, yes, mysterious and obscure connections from the perspective of my all-seeing eyes, in order to support those who have the eye to see and who may want to shift their perception, as those that run the world are not even operating on the level upon which they deceive you. In fact, the level in which the power control force operate is completely obscured from humanity, while they openly manipulate you into thinking you've gained any truth or knowledge through all the lies they feed you. On August the 21st, 2014, when the sun was in the sign of Leo, the lion, days before the Baroness of Wine, Philippine de Rothschild, and the Napa Valley earthquake appeared on the physical world stage, an article came out about this ancient sphinx unearthed in Greece's largest tomb. I was covering the highlights of the story on Facebook until the post went missing, so I decided to write an article. I was going to write an article anyway. It's important to note that the celestial events do mirror our physical world narratives and scripts by design. The two headless sphinx that emerged from a massive burial site in northern Greece as archaeologists began moving large stones from the tomb's ceiling wall. I don't believe that these sphinxes emerged all of a sudden. That's what they want you to believe. This burial was most likely found some time ago, but now is the time. They want to reveal the narrative to you and obscure the real truth from you. Remember, things just don't happen in your physical world reality. Events are planned and orchestrated by design on the World Theater stage. On September 2nd, we get news of the beheadings of Scott Sotloff. Here is the American journalist Scott Sotloff with a sphinx. Now he is headless, like a sphinx above. Yes, they do make this stuff up, and it's not a coincidence. And then I also have a picture of Foley. You know James Foley? He takes the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge with ISIS. Yes, they make this stuff up. None of it is real, as many would believe, just pure sickness. 2 days after the beheading ceremony, Joan Rivers dies after complications from a routine throat surgery. That would be the same era where one hangs oneself or cuts one's head off, right? And yes, you can make this stuff up. Apparently, Joan Rivers had been sedated during the procedure with propofol. The report said propofol is often used before and during general anesthesia for surgery or other medical procedures. It was brought to the public eye after it was revealed that Michael Jackson's doctor, Conrad Murray, administered the drug to the singer in his home, all just to make the story more interesting. But really, her throat surgery is just another reference to the headless sphinx. Maybe just another connection to Robin Williams' death on August the 11th, 2014. Again, Williams, remembered, committed suicide by hanging himself. Yet another throat incident, as always sticking to the storyline, and yet another connection to the tome mystery or our headless sphinxes. Now let us consider a much deeper meaning for the death of those two famous stars as a way to harvest energy from the masses of people who focus their energy and attention upon the deaths of these two stars. This is why we have stars on the physical world plane. They are physical representations of the stars in our physical universe, yes, and they, just as the stars in the universe, are carriers of massive amounts of energy, especially when massive amount of people focus their attention on these stars, these physical stars, these idol worship that I talked about in my last post. When we consider that scalar energy from the stars has velocities billions of times greater than the electromagnetic speed of light, this observation serves to establish the fact that scalar energy pre-exists as a connection between the stars and the earth, and that this pre-existing connection is responsible for instantaneous velocity as well as instantaneous communication between the stars and the earth. Yes, this is how you are able to manipulate your reality, which I keep talking about. Anyway, this connection proves that the universe is a hologram whereby all points are interconnected, and therefore instantaneous velocity as well as instantaneous communication in the universe are the norm by way of scalar energy spectrum. Scalar energy transcends time and space as the universe uses the life force to communicate instantaneously. We must come to understand the truth of the power of this energy, which simply mirrors your eternal state of nothingness, so that you can manipulate your reality in real time. Our physical world stars are used by the power control force to communicate and to create our physical world reality. That is why it is paramount that we learn to harness this dynamic energy in order to create our own reality instead of the one that is being spoon-fed to us. I know this may sound way out there, but we must use the tools the power control force use in order to, play their game. A new tome story release is that it turns out that the stunning mosaic uncovered in Greece's Mystery Sphinx's tome shows a stunning mosaic floor uncovered in the Amphipolis in northern Greece. It shows Greek god Hermes as a charioteer leading a bearded man to the underworld. Hermes wears a petasos on his head, a cloak, winged sandals, and holds a caduceus, a winged staff with two snakes wrapped around it. All references to the serpent energy. Just a reference to Hermes, though, the creator god, the universal architects who created your third-dimensional reality and who control your consciousness through all their intellectual systems such as science and religion, astronomy, astrology, you name it. All the design to keep you from the truth of who you are, forever trapped on this wheel of time, never remembering, forever searching for the elusive state of nothingness what sees through your eyes in this moment, yes, the magical you. And now the story unfolds once again. Now there is a newly revealed mosaic on the floor of the vast Greek dome, shows Hades hauling his reluctant bride Persephone to the underworld. The mosaic depicts a famous scene from the Greek mythology, the abduction of Persephone, sometimes called the rape of Persephone. You can look at the pictures in the post in the description. You can read the article at your leisure. The Rape of Persephone is a large Baroque marble sculptural group by an Italian artist, Gian Lorenzo Bernini, executed between 1621 and 1622. Bernini was only 25 years old at its completion. It depicts the abduction of Persephone, where Persephone is seized and taken to the underworld by the god of Pluto, of all things. Pluto, remember, I talked about, went direct on September 23rd, right at the time that Isis was struck by the U.S. of A. As with many of Bernini's early works, it was commissioned by Cardinal Sifoni Borghese, possibly alongside a portrait of Sifoni's uncle, Pope Paul V, who died in 1621. After completion, the statue was given to Sifoni, to Cardinal Ludovisi in 1622, transported to his villa, purchased by the Italian state. It was returned to the Villa Borghese in 1508. You might remember that the Borghese family and the Aldobrandini family are connected. Sifoni Borghese was the Italian cardinal, art collector, patron of the arts, hence the excavation of the tomb, to disguise the deeper meaning and remembrance of, those bloodline families that rule your world. A member of the Borghese family, one of the most evil families in the known world. He was a patron of the painter Caravaggio and the artist Bernini. His legacy is the establishment of the art collection at the Villa Borghese in Rome. Originally named Sifoni Caffarelli, he was born in Artina, the son of Francisco Caffarelli and Artenzia Borghese. His father ran into financial difficulties, so Sifoni's education was paid for by his maternal uncle, Camillo Borghese. Upon Camillo's election to papacy as Pope V in 1605, he quickly conferred a cardinalship on Sifoni and gave him the right to use a Borghese name and coat of arms. In the classical pattern of papal nepotism, Cardinal Borghese wielded enormous power as the Pope's secretary and effective head of the Vatican government. On his own and the Pope's behalf, he amassed an enormous fortune through papal fees and taxes and acquired vast lands for the Borghese family. Borghese aroused a great deal of controversy and resentment by utilizing numerous gifts from the papal government to fund Borghese family investments, identifying rental properties as the most efficient means to ensure financial stability, purchased entire towns and other extensive properties, including approximately 1/3 of the land, such as Rome. Exploiting his authority as cardinal nephew, he often compelled owners to sell their holdings to him at substantial discounts. Borghese thus ensured that the fortunes of the family were not permanently dependent on ecclesiastical office. Borghese is the surname of the family Italian noble and papal background, originating as the Borghese of Borghese in Siena, where they came to prominence in the 13th century, holding offices under commune. The head of the family, Marcantrino, moved to Rome in the 16th century and there followed the election of his son Camillo the Pope V. They rose in power and wealth. They were one of the leading families of the black nobility and maintained close ties to the Vatican. Now, as you know, the Vatican has a bit of earthquake last week when they came out of the woodworks and changed their points of views on gays and same-sex marriage. There was such a shake-up in the Catholic Church they were forced to backtrack. This is all on the heels of the Cluny marriage in Venice, which links to the Vatican and the Black Death, which equals Ebola. Again, as I mentioned in my last video, these are not coincidences. You're living through scripts and narratives. And remember, the Baroness, the Rothschild's son, stated in my video on the Rothschilds sponsoring the Ryder Ship Cup this season, first time they've ever sponsored anything. That is the Baroness de Rothschild's wine company. Julian, his son, states, if you don't promote a brand, it will, die? Subliminally, this is all about keeping the bloodlines alive, that is. Those bloodlines that started this whole mess, this system of consciousness, your physical life experience. Now remember, as I told you in the previous post, in 1974, David de Rothschild married the Italian princess Olympia and Aldobrandini and Raoul Calvados, and they have 4 children. Now the Aldobrandini are an Italian family from Florence whose ties to the Vatican. Its Roman fortunes were made when Ippolito Aldobrandini became pope under the name Pope Clement VIII. He arranged the marriage linked to Aldobrandini with the Roman family of Pompili. The Pompili are one of the papal families, one of the most evil families in the world, deeply entrenched in the Roman Catholic Church, Roman and Italian politics, and in the 16th and 17th centuries. Additionally, they were linked to the marriage alliances with the Farneses. Ranocchio, the first Duke of Parma, had married Margherita Aldobrandini, and Borghese, since Olympia Aldobrandini married Paolo Borghese. Olympia Aldobrandini's first marriage was to Paolo Borghese, but then her second was to Camillo Pampalai. These family names listed above are some of the original owners and builders of the physical world system you now call home. They are some of the most evil families on this planet. This Riddle of the Sphinx will be continued. I thank you so much for tuning in.